So after watching the film Shouting Fire, I kind of learned. I learned about some other stories that I probably wouldn't have known about because at the time of those stories coming out, I was younger, so I wasn't really paying too much attention to those news, like the one about Debbie, uh, the Muslim from New York. She, pretty much got railroaded because she wasn't really savvy about the how reporters can twist words sometimes, and she kind of didn't, take the proper precautions to protect herself. So, I felt bad for her learning about that happened to her because it kind of took everything that she worked for away from her. Like she built that school for it to be, it was hers, and uh, they just took it away from her because they took her words out of context and, painted her in a terrorist light, in a terrorist, light, which is just what was sad to me. Um, what what I learned from it, really, I didn't. I kind of just took away what I already knew from, like starting to actually pay attention to how the world works a little bit more. So it's kind of like just reaffirmed some of the things that I already knew about. How sometimes using your freedom of speech or your First Amendment rights can get you into trouble, and when it shouldn't, and it's also uh, a right that's abused by a lot of people, and that can be used as just like when they defamed the Debbie, and they pretty much painted her as a terrorist when she wasn't. She wasn't anything. She was the farthest thing from it in my eyes. The film, it didn't really change anything for me. It kind of reassured me, kind of reinforced what I believe about freedom of speech and how it works and who it works for and who it should work for. Uh, I thought that one thing that stood out to me was just the kid Chase. He just seemed so baffled at the fact that he couldn't use his religion to tell somebody that they were wrong. And religion is such a tricky thing because you know just because somebody wrote it, at the end of the day, a man or whoever wrote it, like, so you don't know who put these words down. That's something that I think a lot of people should think about. It's kind of like a word of mouth thing, so you just never know. And he just took it really hard, and he just didn't understand. I don't think I think his case, I don't think the school should have threatened him with expulsion or anything, because at the end of the day, he did have the right to do that. But it's kind of like when you step inside. I think from our conversation that we had in class, it's like when you take a job, you kind of sign a clause, and I think with a lot of schools, you kind of agree to things that you never agreed to, and that's what happened with Chase. And he just seemed so shocked by the whole thing that he couldn't do that, and that was just kind of that was one thing that stood out to me. Uh, uh, that was about it for me for that film. I felt it was pretty interesting. It was informative. If somebody was in the dark about how a lot of times cases work with freedom of speech, I feel like it shed some light for you. But that's about it.